Hi everyone, and welcome to the genetics unit. It's going to get broken up into quite a few video portions, so this is going to be genetics video 1. At the beginning of this PowerPoint, I put a whole lot of vocab together. I'm not going to read it to you. Just know that it's there for you, that you can go back to and refer back to it any time, so that if you get to a vocab word and you're confused or you want to know how it relates to other words, you can always come back to this slide. So I guess the first question to answer is, what is genetics? And very simply, it's the study of heredity. How did you get to look how you look? Where did those genes come from? Most of us know that they came from your parents, but where did your parents get their genes? Well, from their parents, and so on and so on and so on back through your family. So at the bottom, you can see that there is a family tree with our original 2 members, all of their related offspring, all of that next generation's offspring, and then all of the final generation. You can see that this one is particularly relating to a disease. What disease, we don't know. We'll talk about what kind of diseases you can detect using a chart like this at the end of this genetics PowerPoint. Gregor Mendel, he is the father of modern genetics, and he used pea plants to study this very difficult topic. And you can see here he is, and here are his pea plants. Why did Gregor Mendel choose pea plants? There's a lot of reasons for this. Each pea plant has the possibility for many different traits. So by raising a single plant, he could study many different aspects of the same plant. They reproduced sexually, but each pea plant is hermaphroditic in that it has both male and female parts, so a single pea plant can produce offspring. Because of this, the crosses can be very tightly controlled, and so you can be absolutely certain what the parents' plants are of the offspring. They also have a large number of offspring, and they grow to a full maturity very quickly. Pea plants are what we call self-pollinating, what I kind of said before, that they have both the sperm and the egg on the same plant. And in a moment, we'll actually look at the cross-cutting of a pea flower. So, using these pea flowers, Mendel was able to take pollen from one and cross-pollinate to another plant, thus being absolutely certain who both the mother and the father plant were. So here's the anatomy of a pea flower. You can see that it has an anther and a carpel. Thus, the single flower has both male and female components, hermaphroditic. Thus, a single pea plant could produce genetically identical offspring. This is the aspect of the pea plant having many characteristics that Mendel could study on a single plant. Pea shape, that's the actual pea that is produced. Is it round or wrinkled? The color of that pea, the shape of the pod, the color of the pod, the color of the flower, whether or not the plant is tall or short, and the position of the flowers, which we'll look at in a moment. So here is the phenotypic representation of all of these traits that he studied. And so here is the flower position. Are the flowers up the branch, or are they all positioned at the end of the branch? We name the generations. The first generation is the pea generation, or the parent generation. They have offspring, which become the F1, and the parent generation's great-grandchildren, or the children of the F1 generation, are going to be called the F2 generation. This is an example. Oftentimes, Mendel would take true breeding parents. What that means is that this parent here will always produce purple flowers. This parent here will always produce white flowers. This is going to be homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive. When you go to the F1 generation, you end up with hybrids. They're all going to look purple, but they're going to have one dominant trait from the purple flower, one recessive trait from the other parent, but this recessive trait gets hidden in the F1 generation. To see that white trait and to see that it has not disappeared, you have to go out to the F2 generation. In other words, the children of the F1 generation. Results of Mendel's experiment. This is going to be the beginning of the next video.